Hi everybody, it's Miss Hartridge. Today we're going to talk about place value. So in second grade, you guys learned about the ones, the tens, and the hundreds place when you were reading a number. So I'm going to show you a number as an example. Here's a number that you probably looks pretty familiar to you. When you guys take a look at this number, you remember that the 5 is in the ones place. That means 5 ones. If you had been given this much money, you would have been given $5. You would have been given 7 $10 bills or $70 right here, and you would have been given $300 bills or $375 if you had been given that much money. That'd be pretty cool, right? Well, today we're going to talk about how we can read numbers that go all the way out to the thousands place, specifically 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000s places. Okay? I'm also going to teach you, or for some of you guys, remind you how to read a number, just like that one that you did. So we're going to look at that, and then we're going to add to it, okay? Let's take a look at one right now. Let's take a look at this number right here. I'm going to make a really big number for us, okay? Let's do this number right here stands for, so we read it just like we would read a word. We start on the left. Remember, L for left. We start on the left and we read it left to right. I also want to remind you guys that when you see the comma right here, this tells you right here to say the word thousand. That separates the two periods on a number. This is the ones period right here, and this is the thousands period right here. So we would read this number like this. We would say 137. So you guys can kind of see, if this were all by itself, this part to the left of the comma, that's what it looks like, right? 137. And then we say 1,000, because this is 137,000. And now we can read the rest. 894. That's a big number, huh? All right, so we took a look at how we can read numbers. And now we're going to work on some place value representations. So that just means how you can show big numbers like that. You guys know the most common way to show a big number, like the one I just showed you, is by writing it out, or like this one that I showed you earlier. It's by writing it out using digits. When we write it out using digits, that is called standard form, when you just write it normally, just with the digits and that comma where it goes. So that's important to remember. Another thing we're going to work on today is we're going to work on representing big numbers like that using base 10 blocks. And you guys have seen those before. Those base 10 blocks at school, they're kind of cool. They're the green cubes that we use in our classroom. There's a big cube that represents 1,000 of those little tiny ones cubes. The little tiny ones cubes, sometimes we draw them out and we just draw a little square for those. Or sometimes, since they're so small, we even just draw a little circle. For the hundreds, we draw a square, or maybe you've picked up that green flat square that's about this big. That stands for 100. And then the 10 sticks, when we draw them, we just draw them with a skinny line to stand for 10 of those little tiny ones cubes. So we're going to practice representing numbers by drawing them out too, like that. And then finally, we're going to practice representing big numbers, like the ones I showed you, in word form. Now, do you guys remember when I showed you this number? I know you do, because I just showed you. When I showed you this number, we read it in word form. So we write it using digits in standard form, but we read it out loud in word form. And we can write the words or type the words down too. Okay, you guys. So that's how we're going to practice representing some numbers today, okay? So I want to practice one with you. So we're going to take a look at this number right here. This number right here, we can break it down by starting on the left-hand side right here. this number before the comma is in the thousands place. So one way, it's already in standard form right now. I'll write that down so you guys remember. This is standard form. You guys are going to have to look for this on your practice that you're about to do. Standard form is just the digits. Now, how I would write this, you guys, or how I would draw it out using base 10 blocks is like this. I'd start with the big number. 2,000 would be those cubes. So I would draw 2 cubes, and here's how I do it. I'm going to start with my 2 squares, but those aren't thousands. Those are hundreds. I'm going to turn them into thousands by drawing little lines that go out like this. So I'm doing like a 3-dimensional. Now I have 2 cubes to represent my 2,000s. Now I'm going to draw my 3 squares to represent my 300s. And now I'm going to draw my 7 10 sticks. And now I'm going to draw my 5 ones blocks. They're little squares. I actually like to make these as circles, and I fill them in. That way it's easier to tell the difference when I'm drawing it between my ones and my hundreds. So you guys can see, using tens blocks, this is how we would make the number. 2,375. And then if we were going to represent this number using words, we would just write out the words that we say out loud, right? So you could write 2,375. And that's a little bit of typing that you would do. Now, when you guys go to type the numbers, I don't want you to worry about spelling, okay? As long as you make your best guess on spelling, I'll know what you're writing. Okay, so again, you guys, we're going to practice 3 different ways to represent or identify numbers. Standard form, base 10, or word form. Okay, let me show you guys how. In just a minute, let me see, I'm going to tell you guys how. What you're going to do when you click on the practice is you guys are going to find the little arrows that look like this. They're white though. When you hover over what you want to click and drag, something will come up that looks like this. Almost looks like a compass rose, but it's white. When your mouse does this, when it hovers over, you're going to click on your answer and drag it over to where you want to put it, and then let go, and it'll move it. Okay? All right, you guys. I think that you guys are going to do awesome on this lesson today. I can't wait to see when you share it with me. See you guys later.